Welcome back to the Harpreet Singh Show. Today I have a very successful entrepreneur, professional public speaker, and coach here to share his story about his challenges and his experiences and how perseverance has played a role in his life. Please welcome Bal Sidhu. Hi Bal, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about yourself. Now, you're an entrepreneur. Tell me more about what you're doing with that and how you became a public speaker and coach.
So it all started out back in school. When I was going throughout school, I always felt like I wanted to be doing more. And, initially, right now for my business, I'm doing financial consulting and I run my own brokerage. But on top of that, with the public speaking, it all kind of came hand in hand when I got to speak at one of my company's conventions and events. And that was in front of 5,000 people. And there were people in the crowd that noticed me, and they started inviting me out to different events locally and across the country, and other people wanted to reach out to learn how to become a public speaker, and so that kind of started my coaching side of things.
Okay.
And
wonderful. And now, what are you speaking about? Are you giving financial advice? What other things are you talking about when you're public speaking?
It's more so leadership development, and how to develop yourself, and basically strategies people can use to empower themselves. So whether it's reading, networking, listening to audio tapes, just things that they can do to help better themselves, because I feel like the more valuable you become to yourself, the more confident you'll be, the more you'll be able to express yourself through your work, the better your relationships will be. I feel like there's just this all-around effect when you work on yourself first.
Exactly. And how do you think your talks have inspired and helped people, especially youth?
I just feel like a lot of people feel disconnected today. Like a lot of people as connected as they may feel through social media and the internet and technology, there's a huge disconnect from, where am I? How am I feeling? Who am I? A lot of people have this struggle of knowing who they are, where they are at any point in space and time. And so I feel like whenever I go out and speak to people, they feel empowered and inspired to start asking themselves these questions. Right. To what can I do to better myself? Just take a good look at myself and to move forward. And how can I, be a source of inspiration for others as well? So that's my goal, is to help others pretty much become sources of inspiration for the people that they love and care about.
Wonderful. So prior to all your success, I know you're public speaking in front of thousands of people. You're such a successful entrepreneur now. I know you've dealt with a lot of challenges in your life. And tell me a little bit more about that. What have you dealt with?
So one of the big things, or a couple of the big things, when I was growing up, I dealt with weight issues.
Wow.
Right?
I would never be able to tell.
Thank you. I dealt with weight issues, and that had a huge impact on my self-esteem, my self-confidence. I couldn't speak to anybody, especially girls. Like if a girl would have come up to me and say hi, I'd turn around and walk away. Like I couldn't deal with that. And ultimately, when I started changing myself in physically, my confidence started growing up, and I started feeling better about myself. And that was probably one of the biggest issues I dealt with growing up. And then the next thing would probably be a near-death experience I had when I had a lung collapse.
Wow. Okay. Tell me about that.
It was spontaneous. I woke up one morning and I kind of dealt with it for a few days before I even went to the hospital to get it checked out. And one of my lungs had collapsed. And the doctor told me I'd been living off of one lung for 4 days. And I basically, the other one could have collapsed as well if I didn't come in, or if I came in any later. Yeah. And so I was in the hospital for about a week, and that week really allowed me to reflect. And it allowed me to realize that life is fragile, and I could have had everything snatched away from me in the blink of an eye.
Exactly.
And, I don't want to be leading my life in a manner where I'm not impacting others, I'm not contributing, I'm not becoming the best version of myself, because that's ultimately what I'm here to do, and that's ultimately what I want to do. And so those experiences, especially being overweight and seeing so many others struggling with it and feeling afraid to speak up about it, and going through my near-death experience, it just allowed me to see and experience the fragility of life. Yeah. And just know that I can't lead each and every day doing the exact same things and then not have an impact on others, because I want other people to know that, and I want to be able to share my experience and my story to let them know that if I've gone through this and I've experienced this, I don't want others to have to go through a near-death experience to start leading the best life that they could possibly lead.
Definitely, exactly. And you probably had that pressure, you know, especially like you said, being from a South Asian family, youth have all these we have all this pressure on us to like go do the right thing and to be a doctor or, you know, become a lawyer, but sometimes it's not exactly what we want to do. So how did you open up about, you know, wanting to follow your passion with finance and professional and public speaking?
So when I took that time off school, what I did focus on was self-education.
Okay.
So a lot of reading, a lot of listening to audio tapes, basically doing whatever I could to be a better version of myself.
Right.
You know, learn to cultivate self-love, confidence, and be able to reach out to people to teach the exact same thing. And so I felt like that development allowed me to really experience what I'm passionate about. Because before that, I didn't know who I was, and until I started doing the things necessary to discover who I was, I wasn't going to find out what I was passionate about. So doing those things through that time really allowed me to push forward and pursue the things that I had a passion for.
So for you, it was just about being honest with yourself and basically doing a lot of self-reflection, and you felt that really helped you learn more about yourself and grow.
Yes.
Exactly. So that is amazing because, you know, you've been through many challenges in your life, and I admire you to just see you as such a strong and confident person that you are today. You know, you have a very nice aura, and I would have never guessed that you've been through all these challenges in life. So it's very inspirational of you. Now, tell me, you are very passionate about personal development. So what are the things that you do now to impact youth today?
So it's basically just through these talks, and I try to lead by example. Like I personally, each and every day, read at least for 20 minutes. Whenever I'm driving in my car, I have audio tapes playing instead of music. Anything and everything that I can do to allow myself to take in more information, and then, you know, through that allows me to be more confident when I'm sharing messages when I'm speaking. So when I'm speaking to the youth, I'll be telling them to experience this path of self-discovery and experience this path of self-development, because it's going to allow them to discover what they want to do in life.
Yeah.
Because, you know, most kids nowadays are basically going through the same days. Either they go to school, they play video games, sports, and that kind of goes on, and then the same thing in university, and they never take the steps necessary to invest in themselves.
Exactly.
So my biggest message is just to the youth is to invest in yourself. And that could be reading, writing, if you have a certain hobby, if it's art, if it's meeting people, invest in yourself by going out and doing those things, because that will ultimately help them discover what it is that they want to do for the rest of their life, whether it's tied to their education or not.
That's beautiful, and thank you for sharing your story with us today. You are continuing to inspire thousands of people, including myself. So thank you for sharing. It was a pleasure having you here.